Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia Crasco, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hello and welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast. I am your host, Alicia, and this week we are going to dive into Ask Me Anythings like from Instagram. I had posted like an Ask Me Anything, and here we are. I will say I almost recorded this podcast a couple days ago, but I had my face painted, and I didn't think that I face painted as a lion because my daughter's been big into face painting recently. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I need to record a couple podcasts today. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to record them because I don't want to have to wash this off because she'd worked so hard on it, right? So she was like, no, don't wash it off. Just record with it on there. And I was like, okay, or I can just record on a different day. So here we are. So diving into the Ask Me Anything questions. I'm going to go through them in no particular order, but one of the questions that I got, I'll start with this one first because I think it's the hardest one, as I'm like, oh, no particular order. But the first question, why do I feel like I won't be good enough until we have kids together? I would never feel this way if he didn't have kids. I would want to take my time, etc. But now I feel like I need to have kids too, feel equal. I'm sure he is the one, but I don't want to feel this pressure from myself, not from him. Okay, I just want to tell you this. I felt the exact same way. I felt like our relationship wasn't good enough. It wasn't special enough. It wasn't enough. I wasn't real enough. I wasn't maternal enough. I wasn't all of the things enough because I didn't have kids of my own. And a little bit of a backstory. Like, I used to think that I didn't want kids. Like, growing up, I was like, oh, if I had kids, I'd have 2 kids. And then I got to college and I was like, actually, I don't think I want to have kids because I'm a little more career oriented. And then I met and married my husband. And then one day it came out very not in a good way, like in marriage counseling, where I was like, I just want to have kids of my own. And I think that also like stems from being a stepmom because you have kids that you're sharing with another household. You don't even have to say like I'm sharing with another woman, but just like another household. And so there's a lot of back and forth in the sense that you don't have any control over the situation. They're not yours. They're not going to love you like you're theirs. You know, there's all of this like stigma and like pressure to like love your stepkids like they're your own, but there's not that pressure on your stepkids to love their stepmom, stepdad like they are their own parent. But for me, it was like, I want to be a mom. Like, I realized that I had like suppressed the feeling of like not wanting to have kids, but like absolutely crazy about my daughter. But there was an element of like, I want a child that's mine. So it's mine, and I get to be the one that's like in control of the situation, love them how I want, raise them how I want without having like all of these other outside factors. So I just want to say to you, what you're feeling is completely normal. And I completely understand, like, if you weren't with somebody that had kids, there wouldn't be this pressure to like hurry up and have kids and, you know, do it and like do it a better way or do it a different way or all of the things. And it's not pressure from your partner because same thing. I never had that pressure from my husband of like, oh, you know, we need to have kids to do X, Y, and Z. No, he was like, okay, like I already have 2 kids, and not necessarily like in a bad way. He was like, oh, I already have 2 kids. I don't need another kid. Never. That was never his thing. But I absolutely felt that pressure. And I will say, because you are a stepmom that doesn't have kids but you want kids, I feel like that is another layer of it, because once I realized like, oh yeah, I do want to have kids, then it was, and this is going to sound crazy unless you're a stepmom, but then it was like, it felt like salt in a wound every time my stepkids would come, because it was like just that reminder of, I don't have that. I don't have somebody that's mine. I don't have, total control over the situation. I don't get to have somebody that's mine. More importantly, like I can't just like freely love them, show up for them, like all of the things like how I want to do it. So I don't know, like I wish I could tell you like, here's exactly why you feel like you won't be good enough until you guys have kids together. But I don't. Like, it's so different for everyone else. And for me, it almost felt like, and maybe you can relate to this too. So if you're nodding along, please like send me a message. I'm at Alicia Crosco on Instagram. But I also felt like my husband's previous relationship was cemented into like the better category because they had kids together. And I'm a firm believer, like, you do not need to have kids to like, show your worth as like a woman, right? Like there's so many other things that are important as a woman. Like your worth is not determined by whether or not you do or don't have kids. But it was like, again, because I wanted kids, it felt like, oh, their relationship was so much better, so much more important, so much more special, so much more of like a family because they had kids together. And I realize that it's all like bullshit, right? Like it doesn't really, like just because you have kids together doesn't mean that your relationship is more important, more special, more insert whatever adjective you want to use. But it's hard. It's really, really, really hard to be in like that waiting period. And so it just kind of like speeds it up and you're just like, yeah, okay, let's do this like sooner rather than later. And also like two things here. There's different sub families like in your blended family. So like your partner and the kids, you and your partner, the 4 of you or the 5 of you or the 3 of you, like depending on what it is. And then even like there, and like this one kind of hurts to know, but like, or to hear, but even like your partner and your stepkids and like their mom, like at some point they were a family, and to a degree, like there's some level of that there. Like they still have to like navigate that. Not that they're like all family together, but like that's their mom and that's their dad. So from like the kids' perspective, like mom and dad are still family, if that makes sense. But yeah, just go easy on yourself and understand that it's not a race. The second part is, so the first part is like there's all these different subsets of family, but then the second part is if you're waiting on a perfect time to have a family, or to have like not a family, but like to start having kids or have a kid or however, whatever that looks like to you, just know there is no perfect time. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to wait until we're through this custody battle. I'm going to wait until this court date is over. I'm going to wait until, we get our bigger house, or there's that promotion, or there's whatever. I will tell you now, there is never a perfect time. Like it's just not happening. So either you're going to do this and you guys are going to have kids together, or you're not. Like, so don't wait for that perfect time, because it'll never happen. And then it'll be 10 years from now and you're like, damn, we never have the kid. And, maybe at that point you're like over it and not going to do it because age or where you are in life or whatever the case may be. So just know there's never a perfect time to have kids. It's always going to be some sort of disruption. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but like there's always going to be some sort of disruption. Second question, how can I feel relaxed being around the ex? Hi, welcome. This is such a great question, because how do you feel relaxed being around the ex? Like, how do we get to that point? And I will say this, because we just talked about this recently, like on a podcast episode I have coming out in a couple of weeks, about getting to the point where you just like let bygones be bygones, if you will, if that makes sense to you. Feeling relaxed around the ex has nothing to do with the ex, and it has more to do with you and the work that you're doing or what you're not doing. To be 100% honest with you, I think time, space, and grace matters so much in this. Like if you are a year in, 2 years in, 3 years in, 4 years in, 5 years in, and you don't feel relaxed around the ex, welcome. That's normal. I'm 14 years in at this point, and I can be around my stepkids' mom, and it's not a big deal. It's been like that for a few years. But honestly, I had to do the work on being relaxed around the ex, but it had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with me, like my own jealousies, my own insecurities, my own self-esteem, my own like mindset, my own like confidence in this role, or confidence being like my husband's second wife, like all of the things. It had nothing to do with her. It had, because you know how I say a lot of times, you and I could switch positions, like you and I could switch roles, like you could come live at my house, I could go live at your house, and I'm going to be treated the same way you're being treated, you're going to be treated the same way I'm being treated. Same thing with my stepkids' mom. Like she could switch roles with anyone and I would still feel the same way. It wasn't her specifically, but it was what she represented to me and, you know, whatever I represented to her. So that's something for me to note. Like it didn't even necessarily, it wasn't her. It was just what she represented to me. And so those were things that I had to work through. Like to me, it was like the lack of control. It was, you know, somebody else controlling my house. It was, or to a degree, right? It was, you know, being second, feeling second best, like feeling like what I said didn't matter or I was good enough until I wasn't. But I had to do the work on, okay, where am I at in my life? What do I want out of this relationship with my partner, my husband? How do I want to show up in my own life? To hell with whatever she wants, thinks, needs, desires of me. But like, how do I want to show up? And once I started to focus more on me and how I was showing up and how I wanted to navigate my role as a stepmom, the less I thought about her, the less bandwidth she took up in my own headspace, the less she ran around rent-free in my own head. Do you know how liberating that is? To go and not have thoughts of her for hours, days, weeks, because I'm not consumed by it anymore. So here's what I would say to you, like, get a little bit of help. If you are struggling with feeling relaxed around the ex, or you want to get to the point where you can feel relaxed being around her, get a little bit of outside support. Come join us inside the Stepmom Side community. If you're like, coaching is way too expensive, therapy is way too expensive, come join us inside the Stepmom Side community. It's aliciacrosco.com/community. It's always linked in the show notes, of course. But if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, Alicia, that's great, but what if she's high conflict? What if she's high conflict? Awesome. To a degree, I almost feel like sometimes it's easier because you know that it's always going to be high conflict. So you have your expectations, you have your boundaries, you have your do not cross this line in the sand kind of thing. You know that every interaction is going to be shit, right? Where if it ebbs and flows between like nice friends, whatever, and then high conflict, like if it ebbs and flows, it's hard to read that pattern and know what's going on. And sometimes you get really good at like, okay, she's been quiet, so this is happening, or we're waiting for something to come up. So if it's high conflict, it's always high conflict, right? And so in that sense, I feel like it's easier because you just expect things to be shitty every single time. And so you're not getting your hopes up and then let down, up and then let down, up and let down. Like you just know that it's going to be hard. But feeling relaxed around the ex, your stepkids' mom, also just know that it's not a competition. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in that of like, I need to show up and overperform or be better at this or try to do better at that. No, honey, like just be you. Be you. Do the things that you want to do. Show up how you want to show up. And if you don't want to show up every single time, don't show up every single time. I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you don't show up every single time to every single kids event, it's going to be okay. I absolutely recommend it. If you don't show up to every single thing, it doesn't mean that you're the worst stepmom. You're not. Take that pressure off yourself. Please take that pressure off yourself. So back to being relaxed around the ex. This will come with time. Give yourself time in your role, time in your relationship, time building history. I think it's really hard to come in at the middle of the story. So let's say, I don't know the stepmom, like how long she's been a stepmom, but let's say that you come in and the kids, I'll use my example. My stepkids were 8 and 11. So now they're 8 and 11 and I'm going really, really hard on myself because I don't have this super close bond with them or this super close connection with them. Well, duh, I just showed up on the scene. Everyone else has 8 and 11 years of experience, 8 or 11 years of history, relationship building, bonding, all of these things with these kids that I don't have. All these inside jokes, all these vacations, all of these Christmases, holidays, whatever. I don't have those. That's not fair to show up and expect to jump in and like be super stepmom when you're jumping in at the middle of the story. You can't compare the beginning of your story to the middle of somebody else's, or the beginning of your relationship with your stepkids to the middle of somebody else's. That's not fair. Go easy on yourself. So same thing here. Like, it's hard to be relaxed around the ex or your stepkids as mom when you're trying to figure out where your role is, or like where your confidence is, or where your I fit in here area is. Like, again, she is confident. She is, what is another word I can use here? She is like doing her own thing, like being their mom. Like, whatever, she's been doing this. She's in the middle of her story. You are at the beginning. It's like starting a new job. Like, how awesome, confident, amazing do you feel when you start a new job? Not very. It takes you a while to feel confident in it, to feel competent, to feel like you know what you're doing, to feel like you've got a handle on it. Same exact thing as a stepmom. It takes a while. On average, the statistic is like it takes 5 to 7 years to blend. Girl, yes, I would say that and then some. Like, it felt like that for sure for us. So give yourself time, space, and grace to feel relaxed. If you ever even do, like, that's not the goal. Like, the goal isn't for you guys to be super chummy, super BFF-y, like super like let's hang out and chat all the time. The goal is just to be cordial. If you can do that, great. If you can't, that's totally cool too. Like, you know your situation better than I do. So if you can be cordial, amazing. If you can't be cordial, that sucks and I'm sorry, but also that's so common for so many people. So sending you all the love. If you have additional questions, please just send me a message at aliciacresco.com. At Alicia Cresco on Instagram. Next question. When can I tell the mom off? When I read this one, I laughed so hard. So the stepmom makes me laugh. She's really funny. But I wish I could tell you now. Like, just call her right now, because I know the stepmom has the mom's number. Just call her right now and be like, listen, here's everything I want to say. Like, if I can be petty for just a second, like, this is like subconsciously, like, I'm super petty sometimes. But like, call her and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about all these things that like really piss me off about you, and I'm just going to tell you, and then just like go off on it. That would be amazing, right? That would be so awesome. But I know you have stepkids in your house that are going back and forth. That is not going to be helpful at all, right? Like, you know that. It's just going to blow up the damn boat. Like, no, we can't do that. And maybe you get to the point where like you can never tell her off. Because honestly, at the end of the day, like, as validating and as great as it's going to make you feel, like, you know that in the long run it's going to make things so much worse. And the situation specifically with a stepmom, like, I know her situation, it is really hard, it's really complicated, it's very challenging, and maybe you never get to the point where things are good and you just hold that in elsewhere. And you have another outlet for it, whether it's coaching, whether it's therapy, whether it's inside the Stepmom Said community, whatever it is. Like, you unload that somewhere else. Because I'll tell you right now, going to your partner, going to your husband and saying, I am so pissed at her, like, I'm so sick of all of these things that she's done, and you just word vomit, it's not helpful, it's not beneficial for your spouse, for your partner to hear it either, because you think that you're emotionally invested. They are emotionally invested too, and there's a little bit of guilt there of like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm putting my partner through this, or, you know, my wife through this, or whatever it is. So that's where I'm like, please get outside support, because you can't go tell her off, and also telling your partner all of the things is not a good thing. Absolutely not. Next question. Will HCBM, high conflict biomom, ever get it and be open to peaceful co-parenting? I need success stories. Okay, so if you have success stories, if you've got a high conflict ex or stepkid's mom and you've got a success story, please send it to me at Alicia Cresco on Instagram.com. At Alicia Cresco on Instagram. I will send it to the stepmom since I have her information. But here's the thing, kind of how earlier I had talked about feeling relaxed, like that's just you doing the work and getting to a good place. When you've got a mom, like your stepkids' mom, that is high conflict, that tells me a lot about the work that they have not done to get to the point of like where you are. And I would love to say, you know what, it's going to be 2 years, a year, 6 months, 5 years for her to like get it and be open to peaceful co-parenting. But unless she also is doing the work, it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. And I think that it takes people a really hard time if they ever even get to the point where they can open and honestly say like, hey, you know what, I own part of this. Like I am the bad guy. Like no one's going to like look in the mirror and say that like, oh, I'm the problem, unless they've done the work, right? And sometimes it's a lot easier for someone, specifically like a high conflict situation, for the high conflict person to keep you the villain in your story or in their story because it makes them look better. So no, I'm never going to be open to peaceful co-parenting because I need you to look like the crazy person. And how am I going to go back and tell my friends that, oh my gosh, guess what? I'm now on good terms. Can I say that? Like I'm on good terms with my kids' other parent and his wife, like, or his partner. Like, how can I go back and tell my friends that if all of these times, like I've been like, oh, their stepmom is a crazy person, blah, blah. No, they're not. So they're not going to do that. So as much as I want to say, oh my gosh, I would love to tell you that it takes, you know, a high conflict mom X amount of years to get over it and like get it and just be open to peaceful co-parenting. I don't have that. I don't have that answer. I'm so sorry. But I also feel really bad for the stepkids that are involved because they're going back and forth and they might not see it right now, but eventually they do see who the crazy person was. And that sucks. Like that opening is like that realization, not that opening, but like that realization is like that super sucks. Like I always feel bad for them because they're the ones that are getting hurt. You're not getting hurt. I mean, to a degree you are, yeah. But like the kids suffer. The kids suffer so much. Another person said, or a question, like, what question would you like to ask me? And she said, so many. Another question I get, and I get this one a lot, is how do you let the hate and bitterness go? How do you let the hate and bitterness go? Pull up a chair. How much time do you have? This one is really, really hard. Again, it goes back to doing that work and getting to the point where you're like, okay, who am I? What do I want out of life? What do I want out of my relationships? How do I want to show up? Because I will tell you, I lived in the hate and the bitterness for years. And almost like this victim, not even almost, it was like absolutely a victim mentality of like, I didn't choose this. Why is this happening to me? Yeah, girl, I chose this. I chose to stay in this relationship. I chose to do all these things. There is nothing that has made me grow more than my role as a stepmom. Man, did that open my eyes to so many things that I did not want to see. Like, I didn't want to see that I was controlling. I didn't want to see that I, had the mindset of like my own mom, like my way or the highway. And it is absolutely my way or the highway. Not anymore, but I absolutely was like that. Or you couldn't tell me anything. Like if I was wrong, like no, I wasn't. Like you just misheard me, or all of the things, right? And so it took me a long time to get to the point where I could objectively look at myself and say, you know what, Alicia, that wasn't your shiniest moment. You know what, that probably could have been said better. You didn't necessarily need to have a reaction to that, or you didn't need to respond right away, or you didn't need to come unglued like that. I was completely emotionally unregulated. Absolutely. So it was really easy for me to wallow in the hate and the bitterness. And woe is me. Like, I can't believe that I'm stuck here. I can't believe that this is my life. I can't believe that, I waited so long to get married. Like, I can't. And then, like, this is the shit that I'm dealing with. I can't believe, like, all of the things, right? Like, you already know. Like, you've been there. You feel it, or you're thinking it too. But, again, doing that personal work and figuring out, like, okay, again, what do I want out of life? What do I want my relationships to be like? Is this worth the turmoil in my relationship? Because I will tell you right now, it is so damn easy to sit on your high horse and say, I'm not the problem. I will tell you the problem. Let me count them. It's the mom because she does this. It's my stepkids because they do that. It's my partner because he does this or that or doesn't do this or that. It's my in-laws. It's my extended family. It's my family. It's my friends. It's my work. It's my whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to recognize, you have to understand, you have to see that you have some sort of part in this, good or bad. And if you are multitasking, please come back to me. But if you are struggling with like the hate and the bitterness of being a stepmom, welcome. But you have to understand and you have to realize that there is some part that you play in this. And maybe it's that you lash out. Maybe you are emotionally unregulated like I was, or dysregulated like I was. Like, I have said this before, like on the podcast, but like it doesn't make me feel good to admit it. But I was toddler-like in the sense that if I didn't get my way, if things weren't being done the way that I wanted them to do, whoa, like absolutely not. Shit was hitting the fan. And not with everyone else, but just like with my partner, that's not fair to him, like just to flip out because I'm not getting my way. Like, what the hell? Thankfully, he has ice water that runs in his veins and I'm the hothead, and so he could like just douse me with some ice water, not literally. But doing the work to understand why whatever is happening and working through that. I do actually have a freebie on this called Mastering the Stressors. So it helps you slow down your thought process of like what is happening and why your reaction like isn't working and how to like do something different. So if you go to aliciacrasco.com/stressors, I will link it in the show notes, but that is something that you're definitely going to want to sign up for and like work through, and not just like haphazardly work through or like sign up for it and not use it. No, like if you are intentional and you are serious about letting the hate and the bitterness go, please sign up for this because you are going to need the help. Like I could have written that exact same question. Like, how do you let the hate and bitterness go? Like, why do I hate my life? I don't want to hate my life. Like, I want to enjoy it. Like, I didn't wait all these years to get married just to be Googling how to get divorced. No. So go to aliciacrasco.com/stressors and that freebie will be waiting for you there. I will, again, also link it in the show notes. But the hate and bitterness, that is a gradual process. I wish I could sit you down and say, you know what, this is going to be gone tomorrow. No, it's not. And it's going to be one of those things that you actively have to work on because it will show up with a vengeance if you're not careful. It will show up with a vengeance if you're not careful. Next question. Did you ever dread vacations with the kids? Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. Absolutely. Here's the thing about vacationing with kids. Doesn't matter if they're stepkids, doesn't matter if they're your own kids. You are essentially parenting in a different location. That's it. So whatever stressors you've got, like parenting-wise, at your own house, guess what? Now you're on vacation and you have the exact same stressors. So fun. Only except it's not. And then add in that you are a stepmom and you're just like, what the hell? And maybe you're like me and you think of a million different things that are going to go wrong on vacation. And you have a plan for a million different things that are going to go wrong on vacation. And then maybe you're like me and you tell your partner, hey, guess what? I have this idea that all of these things are going to go wrong. And they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, those things aren't going to happen. And you're like, yes, they are, because they happen all the time at your house. And so all of these things are going wrong at your house. And your partner potentially has blinders on because you're always thinking for them. And so they don't see that these situations are going to happen. So then what happens? Vacation shows up. And guess what? Those things happen. And you're like, no shit, stupid. Like, I told you. Or no shit, Sherlock. I told you like this stuff was going to happen. And then you're annoyed by it. So then now you guys are fighting. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you the number of times I have ruined vacations. Not necessarily like outwardly, but like for myself, for my partner, or like, texted things that I shouldn't have texted to him because I'm so pissed about shit that's going on. And it's just like, how did you not know that this was happening? So yes, I have absolutely dreaded vacations with my stepkids because if you've been here for a while, like, you know that at the beginning when we were dating, things were good. We got married, things went sideways, and then now it went sideways for a really long time, and now things are really, really good. But yes, I have absolutely dreaded vacations with the kids. And here's what I want to tell you. Whether it's your stepkids or your real kids, that sounds weird. I don't ever refer to my daughter as my real kid. Whether it's your stepkids or your own kids, things are going to go sideways on vacation. And guess what? If you are a stepmom that didn't have kids coming into this relationship like me, I did not realize how many things could go sideways on vacation, or how much vacationing was just parenting in a different location. I thought like, oh, I'm going on vacation, I'm going to be on my best behavior, assuming, stupidly, that everyone else would be on their best behavior. No. And also, I assumed that because I'm going to be on my best behavior, guess what? We are going to be the picture perfect family on vacation. No, we're not. No, we're not. Like, the kids don't automatically magically like you and magically want to spend all this time with you. No. So I think something that's important for vacations with the kids, the stepmom, I know that her stepkids are older, but is just having expectations for your vacation. Like, I do this even now with my husband and my daughter. Hey, guess what? When we go on this vacation, every day, here are my expectations. I would like to be able to do this. I would like to be able to do that. I think we should do these things. What do you guys think? But laying out those expectations of, I want my own free time to just be and not have somebody like, hey. No, I don't want to do it. And this is kind of funny, but last year, I think. Yeah, I think it was last year. My husband and I were talking with my stepdaughter, and my husband had asked, like, hey, would you be willing to, we're looking at booking this trip, would you be willing to go with us, or would you want to go with us? And she said, yes, but I would like my own room. And my husband was a little taken aback by that, and was like, oh, okay, why? And she's, because I don't want you asking me every 5 minutes, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? No, my idea of a vacation is I'm going to, specifically we were doing something tropical, is go lay out by the pool and read a book and have a drink and just relax. And I was not offended. I was like, girl, yes. Oh my gosh, yes, I agree. But here's the thing about our vacations. When we vacation, typically we tend to like do a bunch of different things. And not very often do we just like sit and relax on vacation. And we've started to add that more in. Like when my stepkids were younger, like prior to having our own daughter, we were constantly, like not constantly, but when we were on vacation, like we were doing excursions, we were, going here, doing this, doing that. And so it wasn't very like relaxing. And I think that part of it was if we just like sat and like were together, then like all of like the weird and uncomfortable feelings were coming up. But if we'd booked things, I think this was a subconscious thing. I don't think it was something that was intentional. But if we booked things and did them, it was like, look, we're going to have fun together. We're going to do all of these things where the kids might not necessarily have wanted to do them, right? And so I think that's hard too on vacation. Maybe, you're thinking like, oh, like we're all going to be like one big happy family and we're all going to do everything together. No, please don't do that. Please don't set yourself up for failure when it comes to vacations by thinking that you guys are going to do things all together. Like if you've got two stepkids, maybe, your partner takes one and you take the other and like you guys trade days. Or maybe if you've only got one stepkid, you guys, rotate out like who has free time. But just don't plan on being together 100% of the time. And if your stepkid is like, hey, I want to game for a little bit, like maybe your stepkid's a gamer, okay, fine, you can game for a bit and put a limit on it if you want to limit. Like you're like, I didn't bring you on vacation for you to sit around and play video games. Okay, fine. But everyone's idea of a vacation is a little bit different. And I think it's just holding space for what that vacation looks like, because it can be really challenging to be parenting in a different location, especially when you're like, I paid or we paid so much money to be on this vacation and it is going to hell in a handbasket. Yes, I absolutely understand and can respect that sentiment too. But again, just know that everyone's vacation looks different. Schedule, especially for you, schedule time away from everyone. Your partner can be on their own with the kids, or the kids can, run up and down the slides or whatever it is, like on their own, depending, of course, like how old they are. But you too deserve a break. So go to the spa, like get a massage, like get your nails done, whatever it is. Go for a long walk on the beach. I'm only talking about tropical vacations because that's typically what we do. We just booked a vacation for January and I'm like ready, and it's July. Like I am ready. Also, that totally, because I'm like, it's July. When this podcast comes out, it will be like 2 years of like having this podcast. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't already, like, please leave a rating and a review. Like, I would love that, like on Apple. Like, please leave a rating and a review. Like, I appreciate it so much. But yeah, being on vacation with kids is just parenting in a different location. Like, that's what it boils down to. So yes, I have absolutely dreaded it. Now, I've absolutely had fun with the kids too. So much fun. Whether, like, my stepson is pretty adventurous, so like going on water slides with him, going ziplining, watching him like use one of those jet packs like in the water, or just hanging out and like reading books next to my stepdaughter, or like maybe we've gotten a drink together. Like, it's just, there are different things that you can do with the kids, and managing your expectations with each kid individually and what that looks like. That's my takeaway for you. Like, let everyone have their own vacation and like what that looks like, rather than trying to pressure yourself into conforming to like this perfectly happy family, because girl, we already know that you're not. Let's start there. Secondly, don't put that pressure on everyone else either. Like, you are automatically just setting yourself up for failure. Okay, last question. How much do you think families with a high conflict co-parent spend on legal fees? Listen, I would be rich if I could answer this question, because I get this question a lot. How much do you think it costs to go back to court for X, Y, and Z, or this, that, or the other? I don't have like a specific answer for how much do you think families with a high conflict co-parent spend on legal fees, because there are so many different varying factors of high conflict. Like, do you guys have a private investigator? Do you, like, how much does your attorney cost? Are you using front of the court? Like, there's so many different things. Like, how much communication do you have with your lawyer? How much communication does the other one have with their lawyer? Like, there's just a lot of things going on. I would say anywhere in the ballpark of, I don't even know. Yikes. $20,000 to $50,000, if not more than that. I have absolutely heard stories of it being $100,000. So there's so many different things of like what the dynamic is. So if you're prepping to go back to court, or if you are looking at it, look in your area to see if you guys have a friend of the court that you could possibly use. Please try that first. But if you've got a high conflict situation, that's probably not going to happen. But like, if you could do mediation, try mediation. Again, high conflict is probably not going to happen. But there's the court system like makes me like sick to my stomach for families that have to go through it, because A, it takes so long to even get a court date. B, there's so much back and forth with your lawyers. Everything is billed. Like, it's insane. It's asinine. Like, what is happening? And it feels like it's almost designed for you to like stay in court or like stay in the system, because it's just like a money grab. And that money could be better spent elsewhere. And C, like, the other parent, like, can we not just like work these things out? Like, it would be so much easier if we could just work these out adult to adult. But again, you're in a high conflict situation, right? So what are the chances that you're just going to be able to like actually work something out? So I don't know. That's a good question. I've been asked that a lot recently. So I'm like, should I set up a podcast episode with a divorce lawyer and talk about this again? It's a good question. But yeah, I don't have a specific answer. That's, a lot of money. It makes me like sick to my stomach to think about how much money is wasted on legal fees. It's insane. Literally, like, just wasted. Anyway, thank you so much for those of you that sent questions for this Ask Me Anything. Please, the next time I ask, like, questions for Instagram, like, let me know what questions you have, and I will absolutely do another podcast episode about it. But thank you so much for tuning in this week. I will chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crosco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.